Hello and welcome to Die Rollin. I'm the ever excitable Adam, and today I'm unboxing Nemesis Lockdown and Nemesis Lockdown The Stretch Goals. This is by Awakened Realms, who are probably one of my favourite game publishers. Absolutely loved Lords of Hellas, absolutely loved Nemesis. So of course, Nemesis Lockdown is a no-brainer for me. I should really enjoy this, but I guess we'll see when we get to the actual game itself. So this is an absolute beast of a game here. In the original Nemesis, you were on a spaceship and you're essentially trying to survive. The spaceship was falling around you, and yeah, it was not a good situation to be in. Not only did you have to worry about fires bursting out, the actual whole ship blowing up because of malfunction tokens, it not going to the right destination because you can't trust your crew members, and you know, also there were some aliens on board. There was just a lot of bad things going on, and also lots of mistakes to be made when you're playing the game. And I probably played Nemesis a few times where I've actually played it correctly, but most of the time I play around 80 to 90% correctly. So hopefully this time around, I will be going into Nemesis Lockdown with a bit of a better idea and be able to play this mostly correct, but we'll see. So this time around, you are on a station on Mars, and you are essentially trying to escape. So Nemesis Lockdown is a sequel to the acclaimed Nemesis board game, the space survival horror experience for 1 to 5 players, confronted with a new adventure that expands upon the established immersive rules. It also offers a new way of getting into the world of Nemesis. They say the crash messed up my head. They say I'm hallucinating due to everything I experienced aboard Nemesis. But wherever I put my ear to the naked red rock, I can hear something. There are echoes deep in this planet, full of hunger and rage. Soon we will awaken them, the vengeful ghosts from the old days of Mars. I need to escape before it happens. When faced with the ultimate horror, will you trust your companions? 14 plus, 60 to 180 minutes, 1 to 5 players. So, you'll have to bear with me whilst the table rocks to and fro as I move this hefty box around. So, lovely artwork, as always, and just a quick kind of Easter egg here. One of the characters has this lovely QR code on there. You should scan that when you get a chance. Nothing on the inside, but it's a lovely black box, which is nice, not just like grey. Okay, so let's take a look at the game manual. And if you don't want to read the rules, you can watch the video. Now, there's nothing wrong with watching videos or reading the rules. So it's nice that they're not telling us to do it. So, full list of components here, which is very handy. We've got our game setup over here, and some of these are actually rules that follow over from Nemesis. So a lot of this stuff, if you already know it, you'll have a good idea of some of this. But we've got new things like different zones which are going to be powered up. We've got a Mars rover, we've got an elevator. The dark actually plays a big part of this game as well. And we also have these contingencies as well. So for instance, one of these contingencies is going to be put aside, and that's what's going to happen at the end of the game. And hopefully, you'll put yourself in a position where you're not going to have to be killed by this contingency. Like, oh, green, save all, we're safe. But maybe I hid in the isolation room and this turns up, and everyone in the isolation room dies. So that's quite nice. So really lovely artwork here. Sorry, it's a bit shiny because of my light over here, just kind of shining on this, but yeah, you're going to need this to be ready to take a lot of damage and battering, because my initial Nemesis rulebook was just like in bits by the end of it, the amount of times I went through it. All the rooms in here, some stuff on the new game modes, and the alternate side of the board as well. Also tells you how to use the intruders from Nemesis to actually put in here. So you can actually use the bad guys from the other one, from the base game as well. So we get room sheets, nothing new there. A big rules summary card, that's pretty handy. So yeah, you've got a ton of rooms in here. Next, we have our laboratory card. So this is essentially how much knowledge your characters are going to have, and also what weaknesses they've found from the aliens. These are the alien carcass tokens. And then we've got our punch boards. So this will be for our new kind of characters, and also the locations. So without further ado, I'm going to cut into this. Although, actually, it's already open a little bit down here, so maybe I could just get into here very quickly. Yes, perfect. And we'll have a look at the new characters we've got aboard this new game. And it looks like they're going to pop themselves out, which is very handy of them. So we've got a sentry, and we have a hacker. Room-wise, we've got a repository. Facility workers start here, and you craft equipment here. The backup power supply, where you can restore power. And the isolation room, where you can lock yourself in at the end of the game. When the time token is on slot number 8 of the time track, flip this room tile. So these must be rooms which are always in play. Okay, so that's our first. I'm not going to stay here and just unpop everything, but so we have a xenobiologist and we have a lab rat. These are their knowledge tokens as well. And then we have all our exploration tokens down here, and I'm fairly certain these are all the same. Well, actually, no, these are new. These 3 down here are new. These 2 are new. But everything else looks pretty much straightforward from Nemesis. So speaking of Nemesis, we have the survivor. So this is someone who's actually survived off of there. We have a janitor as well. These are our new power tokens. And we've got our contingency, tokens. So maybe you want to know more knowledge than other people. Maybe you want to not be in the isolation room. So you all start out with at least one of these contingency tokens, and throughout the game you can discover other contingency tokens to rule out exactly what is going to be the end game. So you can kind of get an idea of what you'll need to be doing. So you have our intruder tokens over here. I say intruder, these are night stalkers, I believe. We've got a testing lab, and if you've got knowledge 4, you can take the neutralizer. Surgery, you can perform a surgical procedure. Cargo sending system, so this is a way you can get off here, this cargo sending system. So you essentially can jump into this thing, and hopefully when the time tracker gets to the CSS token, you'll say, oh, cargo pod C shoots off, and hopefully you'll be safe. But there's no guarantee in that. And contaminated room, gain slime when searching. On the back of these, you've got all of the intruder values for when they're coming out to attack you. You notice there's 2. One of these is when they're in light, one of these is when the area is in darkness. So if there's no power in a section, you need to have 2 cards, or this creature will do a surprise attack. In this, if it's in light, then 1, because these guys are using the darkness to their advantage. Okay, we've got some dials now here. Now I'm fairly certain we're going to be using those for the actual intruder's health, which is something. The last game you put red cubes on. This time around, I think you're tracking them with this, which seems a lot better. We've got a first player token. We've got our CSS tokens there. We have a guard room where you can take equipment. The cargo system, sending system B. Defense control room where you can exterminate the threat. CSS control room where you can schedule the CSS pods. And vent control room where you can vent out. I assume that means you're going to suffocate people. Not that you want to kill other people in your team, right? These are the top parts of the intruder. I keep saying intruder, but the alien's kind of health points. We've got the nest. The character explores this room, gains 1 knowledge, takes 1 egg. Emergency room, treat your wounds. Laboratory, analyze 1 object. Cave entrance, move through technical corridors. And cargo sending system A. That's pretty handy. Only the mechanic could move through technical corridors last time, so that's pretty cool. We also have the Mars rover here, and we also have some eggs. Right, next, of course, well, that's the elevator. And this is going to be moving up and down the side of the board. We have the transmitter control room where you can send a signal or check an objective. Power generator, stop auto-destruct sequence or power a section. The decon room, perform a decontamination procedure. So I'm fairly certain that gets rid of your contamination cards. Cooling system, initiate auto-destruct sequence. So these two kind of, work against each other, I guess. Then archive, examine the archives. We've got some door tokens here. I'm not quite sure what that token is. All will become clear. So we get to the board now. And this is not going to fit on my camera how I set this up. So I'll try to be fairly clear with this. So essentially up here we've got the actual surface here. At the very end there we've got a time track and all the various different rooms you're going to be putting down. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. Really nice. And there's an alternative side to the board which looks a lot different. You've got these kind of nodes outside, so you'll be moving to these places, I believe. And yeah, it's just very different looking. The other side of the Nemesis board is actually just the Nemesis, but with a slightly different layout. So that looks completely different, which some points there. We have a new scanner, and you're going to be putting contamination cards in here and essentially seeing if it says infected or not. Some people think they can actually look in here and decipher whether it says infected or not, just looking at the cards, but I don't think you can. We've got a Nemesis bag. We've got some silica gel. I'll leave that later. Some baggies. And then this is very nice because they've obviously got places for you to store stuff. So I'm going to have to look on the forums to find out exactly what you're supposed to put in and where. Some more storage. So we've got our noise markers as well. So when you move around the ship, you can be triggering one of these things off. We've got our fire markers. We've got these clear gems, which you're going to be using to say whether you have slime on you or if you sent a signal or tracking other various things. Got some clear standees in here, which I assume you're going to be using for doors. And then we've got some of these little kind of dial things that you use to get the dials to go around. So red cubes for ammo. Lovely kind of malfunction tokens there. And then we've got the dice. And there's some new dice in here I do not recognize. So let's get these out and have a look. So you have your standard noise dice in here. So the danger one means you're going to get noise everywhere. And the X one means no noise appears. But yeah, everything else tells you which corridor they come from. Standard there. Then we have our red dice for attacking. And then we have blue dice here. And I've honestly not seen these or know what these do. So that's something to look forward to. And then an orange dice. Which, once again, I don't know what that does. But interesting size and shape. Let's open this up. And now we get to, we've got our different Nemesis kind of player aids, trays even. So you're going to be putting items in here, hiding them from other people. You've got 5 of these, one for each player. Then we've got our first little aliens here. So these are the tiniest of the Night Stalkers. I think they kind of went for a pitch black kind of thing with this maybe. There's a space in here, maybe for the Mars rover, maybe for something I've not got in this. Oh, let's take a look at this guy. So slightly bigger Night Stalker there. Okay. One with big wings. A bigger guy. Yeah, they're the same sculpt, I think. And then we've got our characters. So here's our first character. So is that the survivor maybe? That's the janitor. We do a really good job with these miniatures. The lab rat. The xenobiologist maybe? I don't know. I don't know what these guys are. Maybe the hacker. This chap. And then finally, Dr. Octopus over here. Okay, so that's our first kind of tray of miniatures, and we have some more down here. So let's get these guys out. It's a beastly looking creature there. Then we've got a kind of lankier version. A sprinting kind of version. It's really coming for you now. This guy just hanging about. And then the big bad, this kind of character queen kind of thing here with all the probably eggs down there. Interesting. I like the sculpt designs they've done with those. Okay, and then we've got a bunch of cards here. And of course, some silica gel, which I'll eat later. Okay, so I'm going to shoot through these. So to begin with, we've got some Night Stalker weakness cards. So these are various things you can find out about the Night Stalkers, which will help you during the game. And there's a ton of those. So when you play this, you're going to have 3 of these weakness cards out. So there's always going to be a bit of variation when you play this game, because you'll never have the same 3 out at the same time. Well, you could do, I suppose. Next, we have some yellow items. So these are kind of technical things. So we've got some cables in there. We've got a tool belt. Lots of tool belts. Duct tape. Reagents, so you can fully load ammo in a flamethrower, or choose one intruder in the room you're in, it retreats. A fire blanket, discard a fire marker from the room you're in, or discard a slime marker. Clothes, get rid of slime or dress serious wounds. A crowbar if you want to be Freeman. Discard a crowbar, roll the combat die and deal injuries as in a shoot action. Destroy closed doors, place malfunction markers in the rooms you're in. You've got wrenches in this. Flashlights, heavy flashlights, so you have to carry those in one of your heavy slots. Emergency access. Cave plans. And a thermite charge. So that's the kind of tools you're going to be looking at when you're playing this. And the Night Stalker cards go in there. Next we have our first aid kind of card, so I'll just pick out a couple of those. So we've got some more reagents in there. We've got analyzed tool set, med kits, medical staplers, clothes, research documents, caffeine pills, and scalpel. Just one more set of small cards to do, and then we're on to these big guys over here. So first of all, we have crafted items. So you can craft these 2 symbols together to get this. Scan all cards in your action deck, hand and discard pile, remove all infected cards and a lava if you have one, then shuffle all your action cards, including those in your hand. After that, you must pass. So the neutralizer helps you with those pesky aliens trying to infest in you. In EnviroSuit, your character ignores rules for slime and fire damage. You can escape the facility without using the rover. Really handy. A Taser. Choose one intruder in the room you're in. It suffers 1 injury and retreats. Or one chosen character in the room you're in must discard all cards from their hand. Well, you're really showing your hand if you get to that point. Flamethrower. You always deal at least 1 injury, except on a blank. If the combat roll is double, place a fire marker in the room. So we could really go down swinging with one of those. And then we've got pistols for when you need to get up close and personal. Unmodified rolls of double hits are treated as a single hit. Ugh. Hey, at least you've got the ability to find a weapon. Craft one together. So the next deck we're going through is our military item deck. So we've got things like weapon batteries, where you can add ammo to your weapons, or you can, if you're in a room with a computer and a section without power, you can use a computer action. We've got medical stapler, we've got crowbars, glow sticks to ignore darknesses. Darkness-eye? Just darkness, right? Flashlights. Evac procedure, peek at any contingency token, even outside of section you're in. So that's pretty good, because you can essentially learn a bit more about what's going on. We've got caffeine pills, a main gate key, thermite charges, that energy pistol, a couple of different weapons in here. So yeah, that's the item deck all done there for you. And then we have these special kind of quest items. So cheat codes for the hacker will get you, well, cheat codes. You can initiate the auto-destruct sequence. You can close, open up to 3 doors in any corridors on the board, or pick it up to 2 CSS tokens. You may swap them with each other. So if you want to try and get off Mars, that's pretty handy. And he starts with a smart gun. The xenobiologist has the overmind. Activate this item when you pass and have knowledge 8. Choose any intruder on the board, even in a room within the character. Move the chosen intruder through a chosen corridor, then flip this card over to the quest side. Wow. So you essentially get to use them again to further your own means. Probe arm. If you're on combat, discard 1 use and place 1 carcass on this card. Do not place a carcass if 1 is already present. Discard a tool belt or duct tape to fully restore uses in this item. There's 3 out of them. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Probe arm. The Janitor has pressure washer. And discard a reagent to fully restore uses in this item. Discard 1 use from this item to perform a shoot action against an intruder. If you hit, it retreats instead of suffering injuries. So essentially, just jet washing them out there. And he starts with a nail gun, which looks pretty nice. Battle suit for the Sentry character. Your character ignores rules for slime and fire damage. You can escape the facility without using the rover. Use an advantage die when shooting, ignoring all darkness effects for you. So that is really handy. Activate this item in the cargo sending system A. I'd definitely be getting that thing. The Sentry starts with an SMG as well. Each time you perform a shoot action with this weapon, discard 1 or 2 ammo for each discarded ammo, roll the combat die, check injuries after each successful hit. So essentially you can go full auto with this thing. And then we have the Survivor has an assault rifle quest item. So they don't actually start off with anything. The Lab Rat also has to do a quest to be able to do it. And then we've actually got some guys from the beginning. So you can use the Soldier in this game, get his assault rifle, the Scout to get her motion scanner, the Scientist to get the holo computer, the Nemesis ship report for the pilot, the plasma torch for the mechanic, and the Captain for the 6-shooter. They don't have everybody from the expansions, but they've got some, which is quite cool. So you can have a little bit of continuation for your games. So first of a bunch of different decks we've got here. So our first deck, we have the Serious Wound cards. So these are various different wounds you're going to be getting during the game. So your knee, which the cost of the first movement, including escape action in the player's first turn in the round, is 2. Cost of the careful movement action is still 2. So it's basically slowing you down. The guts. Each time you pass the player phase, your character gets 1 contamination card. Yuck. Eyes, you're always counted as being in darkness. Arms, the character has only 1 hand slot for heavy items, objects. If they have 2 heavy items, they must instantly drop 1. Hand, the cost of all your item actions is increased by 1. Bleeding, each time you pass in the player phase, your character suffers 1 light wound. Leg, the cost of your escape movement action is 2. Body, you drop to 4 action cards instead of 5. So they're the really horrible, serious wounds you're going to be getting during this game. Something you don't really want to be have happen to you, but it is going to happen to at least one of you guys. So it's best to be prepared for that. Let's go to the objective cards now. So this is the solo co-op objectives. So we'll just pick a couple. So for 1 player plus, Alien Compendium, all intruder weaknesses must be discovered. Future alien hunters will need a comprehensive source to learn from. Proving your worth. Send the signal and the queen must be killed, or send the signal and the facility must be destroyed. The latter sounds easier. Only successful operatives are worth saving. No stone unturned. Send the signal and all rooms must be explored. All fields must be filled to send this report. Wake up call. Activate the alert procedure. Some facility staff are blissfully unaware of what's going on. An egg sample. Finish the game in a CSS pod or an isolation room with an intruder egg object. Media will never believe me unless I bring an example of this specimen. Inside of knowledge, at least one character must finish the game with a lava on their character board, or finish the game with knowledge 8 and send the signal. I need to provide some very personal knowledge of extraterrestrial threat. Unconventional medicine. Finish the game with an intruder carcass object. You wouldn't believe how much I can get for their powdered body parts. Codebreaker. Send the signal and finish the game with no contingency tokens left in the neutral pool. We have an opportunity to intercept all of their secret contingency codes. The Martian. Finish the game with at least one of each crafted item. A survival trip to Mars simply isn't complete without some fancy DIY. And finally, backup. Each character must finish the game with knowledge 5 or more. Such valuable knowledge shouldn't rely on a single head remaining attached to a single neck. So that is your solo and co-op objectives. Next we have this player aid, which gives you an idea of crafted items, what you can actually build these things, and also about contingencies on the back. Get a help card for the Intruder Pack development phase, which is very helpful because that's something people forget in the original game, including myself. And then of course you have your pass cards, which you have your player number. It tells you through what you're going to be doing during your phases, and then when you're ready to pass, you go pass. When everyone's passed, you move on to the next round. Well, you go to the next part of the phase, really. Okay, into the next one now. So next we have some event cards, and I'll be honest, I'm not going to go through all of these because I actually want to save some of these for me during the game. So let's take a quick look at a couple. So a scent of blood. Place a noise marker in each corridor without a noise marker connected to a room with a character who has any undressed serious wounds. And if it's darkness, you place an intruder in each room with a character who has any undressed serious wounds and is not in combat. So it pays to be in the light. Coolant Leak. If there is a malfunction marker in the cooling system, start the auto-destruct sequence. If not, place a malfunction marker there. Remove this event from the game or reshuffle the events deck, including the discard pile. And finally, Consuming Fire. Set the item counter to 0 in each room with a fire marker. Place a fire marker in each room neighbouring a room with a fire marker. Fire does not spread through closed doors or technical corridors. So there's quite a few events in that deck, and we'll get to those when I play. We then have our Night Stalker attack cards. So these are various different things, and as you can see, they do worse things when it's in the dark. And you get a ton of these with some very nice artwork on. Finally, we got some Mars surface cards. Your characters undress all serious wounds. Your character suffers one light wound. Solo for each character on the Mars surface discards all ammo from their energy weapons. Your character discards 1 ammo from one of their energy weapons if you've got the suit on. That's what that little symbol means there. And you've got quite a few of these as well to go through. So let's go through the objectives. So corporate 1 here, Nemesis Watch. You may choose this part of the objective only if there is at least one Nemesis survivor character in the game. No Nemesis survivors can survive. Or your character is the only survivor. Everyone knows that the Nemesis crew died in space. Sometimes it's better not to know. No more than one character with knowledge 3 or more can survive, including yourself. Each person who knows too much increases the risk. And the right moment to strike. Player 1's character cannot survive, or your character is the only survivor. They had many opportunities to leave, but they couldn't take a hint. So that's a few of those. We've got a couple left, which I want to save. And then we've got some personal ones. So last stand. Send the signal and the nest must be destroyed, or send the signal and the facility must be destroyed. If you can't stop them right here in the base, humanity is doomed. The Great Hunt. Send the signal and the queen must be killed, or send the signal and the facility must be destroyed. If you kill their queen, you will know people can fight them. And base plans. Send the signal and all rooms in sections SO1 and SO2 must be explored. If you map the whole place, you can plan a detailed revenge strategy. And there's a few more personal ones in there. Now we've got some more event cards here. Now, interestingly, these look like Nemesis event cards. So I'm fairly certain these are used when you're playing a game in Nemesis. So you can actually use the Night Stalkers in the Nemesis base game. Yeah, definitely is. So that's pretty cool. Maybe we'll give a go of the original with the Night Stalkers and see how they get on. Next we have some character drafts. So this gives you an idea of you choosing somebody, what they start with, and essentially what other characters you can play as. Interesting. Then we have computer actions. If you're in a room with a computer and in a section with power, choose to play one action from the face-up computer action card. Discard this card and reveal another one. So there's a bunch of computer actions you can do in here as well, like moving the rover, which is going to be very, very helpful if you don't have the rover on your side. Because essentially somebody gets in it, they drive off, and then you're kind of stuck there unless you can walk over in an environment suit, or you can somehow get it back to yourself. So we've got some cards for the pilot here, which is really interesting. They've actually included stuff for the pilot. So you've got your search card, just regular searching, rest cards, demolitions, interruptions, repairs, computer skills, backdoor. If you're in a room with a computer in a section with power, send a signal. If you're in a room with a computer and a section with power, peek at a chosen CSS token. Improvise weapon. If you have a heavy item, deal 1 injury to a chosen intruder in the room you're in, then get 1 contamination card. Respite. If you're in a section with power, draw 2 cards. And then back to the search. So that's the pilot's cards there. We've got the survivors cards here, so obviously search, by search, rest, demolition, interruption, repairs, desperate attack. Get 1 contamination card and deal 2 injuries to a chosen intruder in the room you're in. Check the injury effect. If this intruder is still in the room you're in, it attacks you immediately. Obstinate. Draw 1 card for each serious wound you have, or discard 1 of your items and dress 1 of your serious wounds. That's pretty cool. Vents. If you're in a room with a technical corridor entrance, you may move to a chosen explored room with a technical corridor's entrance. Draw and resolve an attack card. Choose an attack from an adult intruder in darkness. Distraction. Discard 1 of your items. You and or 1 other chosen character in your room may escape the room, move into the same room without triggering an intruder attack. So they're all about distractions. Then we have a ton of contamination cards, which are not action cards, but you've got these little things in here. So the last deck is going to be the rest of our characters. So the Sentry, search, search, rest, demolition, interruption, repairs, and then onto his unique stuff, stun. Choose a character in the room you're in with 3 or fewer cards in hand. They discard all cards from the hand, or discard 1 of your weapons to make an intruder retreat to a chosen neighbouring room, but not through a closed door. Quarantine. If you're in a room with a computer, you may choose any room and close all doors in the corridor's connection to that room. Facility tour. Move yourself and up to 1 other character in the room you are in. They do not have to agree. To a chosen neighbouring room. You may ignore the effect of an expiration token, perform a noise roll as per normal rules. Defense plan. If you're in a white or red room, use its room action without paying its cost. Check any 2 unexplored room tiles, but do not look at their expiration token. So you can figure out what you've got there. So, of course, the Janitor is the same, search, rest, but he's got it should work. Use a room action even if there's a malfunction marker. Or if you're in a room with a computer and in a section without power, use a computer action. If you're in an elevator room, call the elevator and use it even if there's no power in the elevator using your emergency key, or open and close 1 door in a corridor connected to the room you're in. Jury rigging. If you're in a yellow room, reduce the item counter by 1 and take the flamethrower, the environment suit, or the taser. Maintenance plan. If you're in a white or yellow room, use its room action without paying its cost. Check any 2 unexplored room tiles, but do not look at the exploration tokens. Cleanup. Discard a malfunction marker from the room you are in, or discard a file marker from the room you're in. Then we got the hacker. Same search things as always. Recharge. Use in a section with power and add 2 ammo to your energy weapon. Neuralink. If you're in a room with a computer and in a section with power, use a computer action. If you're in a room with a computer and a section without power, use a computer action. Bypass. If you're in a room with a computer and in a section with power, you may perform any number of actions from the computer action card. Discard the computer action cards afterwards. Flip a power token in the section you're in. It works for me. Discard a malfunction marker from the room you're in. If you're in a room with a computer and in a section with power, you may use a computer action. Then the master plan. If you're in a room with a computer, you can use its room action without paying its cost. Check any 2 unexplored room tiles, but do not look at their exploration tokens. And the xenobiologist. Vivisection. Discard 1 use from your probe arm. Choose 1 intruder in the room you're in. It suffers 1 injury plus 1 for each 2 knowledge you have. Field experience. Reduce the item counter by 1 and gain 1 knowledge. Knowledge 4, you can draw 2 event cards and return 1 of them to the top of the deck and 1 to the other. Knowledge 6, draw 2 intruder attack cards and return 1 to the top and 1 to the bottom. So you can essentially know what's coming up against you. Plus you can stack the deck in a way that you know how many hit points the next bad guy's going to have. We've got some pheromones here. Discard an egg or a carcass after an intruder attack to ignore that attack. All characters in the room you are in, including yourself, gain a slime marker. Got knowledge 6, instead of ignoring this attack, you may choose another character in the room you are in to become the target of this attack. And then workspace plan. If you're in a white or green room, use its room action without paying a cost. Check any 2 unexploded room tiles. Finally, rushed analysis. Scan all contamination cards in your hand and remove all uninfected cards. If you move at least 1 card this way, gain 1 knowledge. If any of the cards were infected, follow the infection procedure. And finally, we have the lab rat. Basic repairs. Discard a malfunction marker. Inconspicuous. Discard this card when an intruder attacks you and there is another character in the room you're in. The intruder attacks this character instead of you, or discard this card when you have to perform a noise roll during the intruder bag development step of the event phase. You do not have to perform a noise roll. Weird metabolism. Discard a slime marker. Discard 1 contamination card from your hand to draw 2 cards from your deck. Sensitive hearing. Discard a noise marker from a chosen corridor connected to the room you're in. Place a noise marker in a chosen corridor connected to the room you're in. And then Feel of the Dark. Discard this card during the event phase to ignore the In Darkness effect of an event for you. Or in Darkness, discard this card during a surprise attack to ignore its effect. So that's essentially all of the different cards and stuff you're going to be getting inside Nemesis Lockdown. I cannot tell you how excited I am to play this game. And we will be doing a full playthrough on the channel. Not just me doing solo, but also the other guys joining in. And I'm fairly certain this will all go back in a fairly decent order. But you don't want to sit here watching me do that. You want to see what we got inside Nemesis Lockdown. Woot woot. So, black box. We've got the rulebook, and once again it says you don't need to read these. You could just look at the videos we've made. So we've got a new alien race here, the Chytrid. So they've got spores and things like that. Some gameplay changes, and we've got some rules for the Void Seeders in here, the Carnomorphs as well. So that's pretty handy. And a rules summary on the back, which is really nice. Now, one of the main exciting things about this is getting the Untold Stories. Now, the first game had Untold Stories 1 and 2, which were fantastic comic books. And I'm flicking through really quick because it's got spoilers. But essentially, this is your campaign in here. It has a story, a choose-your-own kind of adventure of sorts, and all these different things will happen. And you get different kind of information as you go through. I remember in Untold Stories 1, there was something that one of the characters found out when they unlocked a particular token, and it really changed the entire narrative of the game. And they didn't have to share that information with us, which was pretty interesting. So we have another laboratory thing for the Carnomorphs. So this is really handy if you actually did have the original game, because yeah, all the expansions, because yeah, this enables you to use them in this setting. And all these other tokens are going to be used in the storybook. We've got the chitrids there. And I just want to show you, this is actually reversible. So you've got void seeders on the back there, which is pretty cool. There's also a chitrid board on the other side, so you can use these guys in a regular game of Nemesis, I assume. Yeah. Got a cool dial thing here. Right, so we have our weird green markers there. Some silica I'm going to eat later. We've got a bunch of baggies and room for a board here. These really fun markers. We've got these green cubes, and there's also some purple cubes in there as well. So they look pretty fun. So 5 of each colour there. We have our first player token, which is a raccoon this time around. The first time was a cat, and this was voted for by the backers. We have a Mars rover little kind of vehicle there. We've got the main gate terrain. Last time we had to buy a separate terrain box. Then we've got the doors. Now you can get doors a different terrain pack, but what makes this really fun is these guys, he says. These guys open up, so you can have a broken door and a fully repaired door. They're a little stiff, but yeah, that's pretty cool. So you get a ton of doors in here, which you can use for that. Let's have a look at the aliens themselves. So I think this is the main chitrid kind of host thing, which is really interesting design. And I haven't painted my Nemesis figures, so maybe I'll start with these. Perhaps. And that's not going to go back in the way I found it, so that's fun. We get some little tentacle things. Small tentacle things. And then these weird... Oh, that's part of this part of the actual structure of the base. This stuff's growing on it. Okay, so let's take a look at the cards we get in here as well. So we've got some cards for the expansion characters from the original game. So you get a card for the medic there, some chitrid weakness cards, convict, the bounty hunter, the psychologist, the android, and the CEO. So I think that's everybody from the original. I may be missing some. But yeah, so that's all their cards, so we can use those. We've got another action deck here for the android. So obviously she's got the regular stuff: search, self-repair, demolition, interruption. She can do repairs. She has computer skills, powering up stuff, network access, efficiency as well. So these are all a ton of cards which you're going to be using to do stuff around there. And yeah, like, it's really nice they've given you some more options to use some of the other characters in here. So bounty hunter. This was a good dog. Discard 1 ammo. A chosen character in the room you're in suffers 1 serious wound. A chosen character in the room you are in suffers 1 light wound. This was a good dog. Wow. Be interested to see if we get all of the characters' action decks in here, or if there's specific ones we get because they were specific to certain rooms on the Nemesis. So we get another draft card for the medic. We get some help cards. Talk you through chitrids. Interestingly, you've got another bunch of these cards here I'm not quite sure why we need 5 more of those player cards, but never mind. Oh, here we go. This is nice. So they've actually given us rules for the Carnomorph help cards here and the Void Seeders. That's pretty good. And then we've got some new objectives here. This is my revenge. No facility worker can survive in the facility, must be destroyed. You do not have to survive, or I will save you. You must have the Laker miniature on your character board. So you must be specific for the bounty hunter. And then we've got some events here for the Chitterids, I believe. Maybe these are Void Seekers. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to look at the rules. I think they're for the Void Seekers, actually. So we get a ton more cards in there to help us. And I'm going to have to, like I say, watch a video on how to actually, all this stuff goes together. How it all goes back in. I feel like there is an order these should go back in. But yeah, we're nearly up to an hour now. Well, we're up to nearly 50 minutes even. So I'll hurry this along because I'm sure that you're just kind of fed up of watching me unbox this and just want to see me play it, which will be very soon. So we've got a ton more event cards here for the Chitterids by the look of it. Yeah, they've got these weird cube markers on there. So I assume that's going to have a nasty impact on the game. We've then got some more event cards. For those Void Seeders. And then we have some Chitterid attack cards as well. And that is your lot. There's nothing under here, just double checking. No. Cool, so that is your entirety for the Nemesis Lockdown Pledge with the base game and the Kickstarter exclusives. Thanks for watching this, guys. I know it's been nearly 15 minutes now, so I appreciate you listening to me waffle on and have a look at all the cool stuff inside this game. If this is a game you'd like to see us play, then stay tuned to the channel because we will be doing this fairly soon, so watch this space. I've been the ever excitable Adam. Please leave comments below. We love to hear from you guys. And until next time, stay safe and keep rolling.